You're watching Drake Queen Gaming. Enjoy the video.
Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drake Queen Gaming. It's me on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you with a Let's Play episode of Conway, Wolf's Path. It's been a while since we've jumped into Wolf's Path, y'all, so let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Without hesitation, you dart past the ship's boats and onto the shrouds. More seasoned sailors outpace you, but in the few days you have been here, you've gained some degree of confidence in your movements. As you ascend along with the others, the thin rat lines catch between the pads of your paws. The wind tugs at your fur, and the more higher you go, the higher you go, and your feline vision can just about make out the wide, dark pillar of rain awaiting the ship. The telltale sound of the sail luffing reaches your ears even before you arrive. The other is already in the process of loosening and preparing to hoist it. You climb onto the main top and continue your journey up until you reach the upper topsail. Although you are not afraid of heights, you try not to look down while carefully taking your position on the upper topsail yard. Wolf is working on the yard, and you slip in line yourself, joining the group of sailors right next to him. "I didn't mean to fall asleep," he doesn't answer, concentrating on loosening the sail. His silence stretches for nearly half a minute. "But you did. Doesn't matter if you meant it or not." "I know." The air is filled with the sound of Samuel's call, a coordinated pull. You join the others, hoisting the sail. "If only he wouldn't have been on my ass all day, then I wouldn't be so worn out. I've hardly slept the last few days. So if it isn't hard enough to get used to the schedule, then I have him breathing down my neck. Where every is scrutinized." You feel the urge to vent your frustration simmer, and a longing to hurl something into the dark sea below, to punch something. Anything to let off the steam that has been building for the past week and change. But the weight of the sail denies you that pleasure as it sits heavy in your arms and you strain to haul it up to the second reef line. "And what am I supposed to do?" Some sympathy would be nice for once. Just to show that you are more than an emotionless husk." He doesn't respond immediately. Instead, he blankly searches your expression. You can't quite discern what he's looking for, though. "You want me to tell you that I sympathize for your screw-up?" "No, Wolf, for all the shit that led to it. I'm sorry that you're going through this. I can imagine it's not easy to feel someone breathing down your neck and to live with the suffocating fear that comes with it." You feel it down your ears in surprise. Even though you asked for it, you didn't expect to hear a sentence that sounds so heartfelt from him. Thank you. Genuinely, I appreciate it. It's less fear and more constant stress, but I'm starting to understand why you prefer to have a quiet day once in a while." Suddenly, the first mate's bellow echoes up the mast from below. "I didn't realize this ship had a crew of cabin boys who can't reef a sail. You better start making some progress before I put those supple hands of yours to work on the nearest street corner once we reach port. I want those sails up yesterday." Down below, you can see more men rushing on deck. The last of the starboard watch must have been woken up and gotten dressed to assist. "You heard the man! Show some pride and put your backs into it!" You hear Samuel shout and return a quick eye, together with the rest of the crew working the sail. Your arms are starting to seriously hurt, but you are too close to getting the sail to where it needs to be. Quiet days do have their perks. That you finally understand this can only be a good thing. You're so wise. Do you have any more wisdom to share about dealing with Arthur? I don't know what to do anymore, Wolf. And you never seem to have any trouble with him." His eyes met yours briefly before he looks off to the horizon. "Because I do my best to keep it that way. I avoid making mistakes, sure, but I don't try to impress either. Unlike you, I don't dream of becoming a great sailor or whatever romantic ideals you're chasing. They pay me, I do what they ask of me. No more, no less. Maybe try not wanting to be the mate's lapped cat." Despite his words, there's no trace of contempt in his voice. He seems to try to offer you a genuine recommendation. Maybe a tad late for that, with me having had a target on my back that he's been aiming at since I stepped on the ship. You're not the first young man driven by the desire to be some kind of golden boy to his superiors. To chase the accolades they hand you like breadcrumbs. He exhales sharply and turns to face you again. "All they'll do is crush you along the way, or do you honestly think the mate's ever going to reward you for your efforts to impress him? You're useful to him. That's all you are. The whipping boy for our distinguished gentlemen. Your only purpose is to take their blame so they can appear spotless in front of their ilk." This time he adds the flare of a bitter snort at the end of his sentence. "All right, old man. Clearly, I'm asking the wrong person for help here. Wolf secures his part of the sail, then leans over to assist you. Together, you pull the last bit of rope, ensuring the sail is taut and secure. Once it is secured, the members of your watch start to make their way down to the shrouds again. You follow close behind. The shrouds become crowded as the top men receive their call to repeat the process for both the fore and the mizzen masts. The wind picks up with each passing minute, and the dark thunderhead cloud shimmers faintly with the pale blue of the sky as the sun edges ever closer to the horizon. It was once a faint cloud on the horizon, now towers in front of the ship, urging the crew into double-time efforts. You hurry towards the ship's bow, waiting for your chance to grasp the shrouds. As you begin your climb of the foremast, you feel the first drops of rain spatter against your snout. Once the yard is lowered and everyone is in position, Samuel takes the reins again, raising his voice to coordinate the team's efforts. "All right, boys, let's see what you got. Otherwise, I'll tell the cook that you won't be needing those meat rations in the future. On my command, reef sail!" You start your effort on the dot, along with the rest, to start pulling in the heavy sail. Inch by inch, pound by pound, progress is made as the elements slowly begin to grow more intense around you. Your tail, which you use to aid your balance up here, grows heavy as it soaks up the rain. So do your clothes as they cling wetly to your body, and, worst of all, so does the sail itself. The last thing you need while the ship unrelentingly continues on its course. Catch your breath in silence next to Wolf, joining the effort to pull in the sail bit by slow bit. It gives you space to think about what he said and question yourself and the reasons that brought you here. Not for long, though, for a voice draws your attention. "Yo." Yo. The jackal leans over the yard, nudging your arm gently to get you to turn around. "It's Perce, a sailor who recently rejoined the crew after being out for a while with what he said was a rather nasty infection. I couldn't help it over here. You have problems with Arthur, right?" It takes a moment for things to click into place and for you to reply. "You could say that." "A small tip from one sailor to another, but you should consider. How can I put it? Grease the wheels." "I'm not sure I follow." Bribery. He's talking about bribing the mate." The corners of Perce's lips twitch into a subtle smile. "He's got it. Arthur's got a bit of a taste for a good drink, you know, and there's been many a problem which was smoothed over by wetting the old man's throat. Too much of a liking, I've heard, but you wouldn't know that from me. Mind you, I wouldn't recommend making a habit of it. The last thing you want to be is the guy who always shows up knocking on his cabin with something under his arm, you know. Others will start asking questions, and lacking any good answers, they'll make up their own reasons. You don't want to be the one who's brown-nosing the gentleman." "So, what? I should just walk up to him with a bottle of rum and say, 'Hey, how about we forget about all this shouting at me for everything business?'" "What? Gods, has your family taught you nothing? The hair like to play a game of deniability. You have to play along, act friendly, like you're just there to show your appreciation for them. They can save face and say you're only grateful towards your betters, and you just happen to get better treatment afterward." "Right. Settle. Got it." Perce nods to Wolf with a knowing smile. "Told you he gets it." You lean against the yard, arms crossed, catching your breath. "But I'm a sailor just like everyone else. How am I supposed to get my paws on it if it's all rationed out? I don't know if you two have looked around lately, but a visit to the nearest alehouse isn't in the cards. Get creative, and make friends who might be able to arrange it. Bandiel's not one to give out more than he's allowed to, but if you're in his good graces, he might let yours accumulate if you practice abstinence. Or if that's not your style, just gamble or barter. I know that a lot of the crew have their own little stash for desperate times, and I'm sure some would be willing to part with it for the right offer. You wouldn't happen to include yourself in that, would you?" He laughs for a moment and gestures for you to continue your task. "Ha! Quick one, aren't you?" "Not officially, no." "Would you be willing to part with some of your non-existent fallback? Not that I consider bribing the first mate, of course, but it's good to know the crew's customs. If you say that sometimes giving someone a gift is a good way to start over, who am I to break tradition?" You immediately feel awkward having laid it on so thick, but Perce doesn't appear to mind, and his smile remains. "Naturally. If you really want, we can talk about it later. When we're dry, and my hand isn't killing me anymore." Some time passes before you secure the sail in its close reef position. As before, he assists you by holding you and the sail steady against the heeling motion of the ship. And the assistance was thoroughly needed by this point. The wind and the rain intensify as the ship now continues to navigate under the thick clouds. Gone are the sunny days and fair winds. Instead, just a few days in and you are battling the forces of nature, and you begin to realize the limits of your abilities as you struggle to secure the sail. even with the help of Wolf and Perce. When you're done, the yard is decorated with a few claw marks of yours etched into it for posterity. Although by the looks of it, they're in good company. Perce descends with the rest of the crew, but you choose to wait until the bulk of the crew had descended and the shrouds are less crowded. Conveniently, it grants you a moment to catch your breath, leaning across the yard. "Are you coming?" Canine asks, having just grabbed the shrouds to descend himself. "In a moment. You can go ahead." You look down, the deck of the ship looking frighteningly small from this height. Fortunately, vertigo is not something you have to deal with. The building chop at the sea, the utter darkness of it right below you while the heel of the ship causes the mast to hang off to the side. One wrong move. You make sure you hold on to the yard a little tighter. Soon enough, the last sailor makes it past you from the outer edge of the yard. You help each of them along by pulling in your tail whenever they pass you. You follow them carefully, well aware of how slippery the ropes are becoming. With your paws back on deck, you hurry along the length of the ship, back to the mizzenmast, and grab onto the shrouds. Even the deck is becoming treacherous for you, the wet surface leaning off to the side, and the swell of the waves rocking the ship strongly enough to threaten your balance. Going up is quickly becoming dangerous in these conditions, especially for you, as someone who doesn't have the wealth of experience of the other sailors. You hesitate and watch the others at first, wondering if you should follow them or not. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell, and check out our Patreon if you can. It always helps. Anyway, I love you all, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye-bye!